Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty and I'm here with the first hybrid layout for this year, and this is a new series for me, so I hope you enjoy seeing how I take some digital products and incorporate them into my physical scrapbooking. So today I'm working with these two photos of my daughter from Christmas time, and these are papers I printed at home from a Vicki Boutin digital holiday kit. And I don't have a 12 by 12 printer, even though I scrapbook in 12 by 12, so I just printed them in 8.5 by 11. And the nice thing about some of this hybrid layout is that I was able to get 3 different patterns on a single sheet because I knew I wasn't going to use an entire sheet of that same pattern. So in addition to those digitally printed elements, I have just a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock and physical stencils from that same Vicki Boutin line and the packaging from those stencils that I'm going to incorporate. I also have some digital embellishment pieces that I turned into print and then cut files, and I'm going to put those tips and tricks into a separate video because it's a little bit long and it might not be broadly applicable to everybody who's watching this. Because this kit does come in a physical product line that you can purchase online or in your local scrapbooking store, you can find these exact same products either digitally or physically. And I'll put a link to the digital kit on the American Crafts website. And then you can go check out that video to see how I turned the digital elements into these physical print and then cut pieces for my Cricut. So I already mentioned that one of the reasons I am doing more hybrid is that I can print my own pattern papers at home. Another reason that I like hybrid is that with these embellishments, I can pick and choose which embellishments I want, and I'm just not stuck with the rest. I can also duplicate and have extras of embellishments that I particularly like, and I can also resize embellishments. So those stars there came very large, but I've resized them into a medium and a small version so that I have more of those size and scales to add to my projects. So that is another benefit of hybrid that I want to highlight throughout this series as I work on hybrid layouts. Okay, now that I've talked about some of the reasons why I like hybrid, let's get started on this layout. And I'll be honest, when I started this layout, I thought I was going to cut this pattern paper into strips and do multiple strips in the background and then have stenciling behind that. But as I laid the pattern papers down on my background, I decided I liked having that border, so I changed directions entirely with the design of this layout, and I was going to go with this 1/3, 2/3 split design layout. And I'm doing a little bit of math, which I end up getting wrong, to measure to cut the papers down to fit with equal border all the way around. So as you see, I had to spread my papers apart and leave a gap, which meant I had to cut my little black accent piece here to cover up that gap a little bit wider than I would have otherwise, but it still worked in the end, and that's okay. So I'm going to get those papers adhered down, and I do grab a ruler to make sure I've got my borders even. And once I've satisfied my little pickiness there, I got everything glued down, and then that's the point when I realized, what am I going to do about the stenciling, because I really wanted to use that as a physical element to this layout because I had done so much creation of digital products that I wanted to make this layout truly hybrid with plenty of physical elements as well. So I move on to the packaging from these stencils and think I'm going to use that packaging as mats for my photos, and I cut both colors of the packaging down, and I decide that lighter color blends in too much with the background, so I do choose just the heavier dark green colors as my photo mats. They're also going to be landing places for my journaling and a little bit of space for embellishment clusters, so that is why I chose to use those heavy green mats. And so I keep moving forward, even though at this point I'm still not sure what I want to do with that stenciling, and I'm just hoping that something will come to me in the end. Now I turn to those embellishment pieces that I created on my Cricut, and I had duplicated this word candy many times because this is our annual gingerbread house and cookie baking day, and it involves a lot of candy. So as I'm putting these words around this border, I knew that I wanted them to repeat quite a bit, but this was feeling a little bit too heavy and distracting, and so I do move them to the edge of my photo where they make more sense there because that photo has all the candy in it. And that leaves me that space at the top for my title. And I'm going to build my title out of more word strips from this embellishment set and also stars from the embellishment set. Now that yellow star wasn't in my kit. My ink, my printer was running out of ink, so I ended up with a yellow one, but that totally reminded me of another benefit to hybrid or digital elements is that you can recolor them. If you have a little bit of skills working with digital images, you can do some recoloring to get tones that you want out of digital elements. And if you want more of one thing than another, or a lighter shade or a darker shade, you can do that fairly easily with digital elements. So again, another reason why down the line I'm working towards more hybrid layouts. So I'm using those stars as grounding tools to my title because those word strips are easy to kind of get lost on the page, especially when I have so many other word strips going on. And I decide to ink the edges of that as well as a bunch of the other elements because that is helping with that grounding element that I'm wanting for this layout. And then I decide it's still not quite enough, so what else can I do? So I add this nice rich color in a strip, and that is going to be one more piece to help ground that title to the layout, make it more visible, more readable, more kind of heavier for the eye to catch. So, and this is the point where I decided I wanted to do a lot more inking, and I realized that I can't ink those background pattern papers because I'd already attached them down well enough, but I can kind of lift the edges of a bunch of other of the elements and go ahead and ink those, and that I actually like a bit more. So I'm playing with that greenery strip there, and it is going to move a little bit later because I want that black vertical strip to be have more weight to it, so I didn't want to cover up too much of it. Other than that, I'm just kind of playing with elements that I can use as embellishment clusters across this layout. I think at this point I've got all the rest of the stuff adhered down, my title and the words, the candy words, and so I'm just playing with extra embellishments. And this is the point where I realized that I had some circles on that pattern paper, so I wanted to incorporate a few more circles into the layout, and having that lighter tone of pattern paper there in the middle helps bring in the circles without them feeling like they're competing too much with those stars, because I have circles and stars going on now. So, and then that's when I realized I have an opportunity here. That stencil has circles and snowflakes on it, and I'm going to go ahead and use that very lightly to add just a very subtle texture to this layout, and it helps bring in a little more black to the layout because that strip of pattern paper that I used to split the design is a little bit heavy. So adding a little bit more black here and there kind of helps balance that heaviness out a little bit. And then because I am inking with a sponge dauber, I can get some heavier tones of black and some lighter tones of black, so that I think helps bring in the black without it being too overwhelming. And we'll have a little bit of a close-up of some of that stenciling later, so you can see some of the richness that I'm getting with just one color of ink and how that is nice for the balance. So I got my stenciling on there. It wasn't quite as much as I had planned on when I started this layout, but I'm feeling pretty good about having a good mixture of digital elements here and physical elements here, and so that makes this layout truly hybrid. And so I'm just going to finish up my embellishment clusters, and like I said, I'm trying to bring in elements from across the page with the circles and the stars. And then I noticed that blue word in my title was feeling a little out of place, so I wanted to bring in some more blue from around the layout, and I did that with these little tags here. And then that's where I'm tucking the greenery behind that black vertical strip of pattern paper so that it doesn't overwhelm the black that I'm trying to get and that column feeling that I'm trying to get with that black piece of pattern paper. And so then I just finish up my embellishment clusters. I'm going to go ahead and add in my journaling, and that is going to bring my first hybrid layout of 2022 to a close. And I will be doing hybrid layouts just once a month, so that those of you who are not interested in hybrid, hopefully you can get some tips and tricks out of the layout in general, and you won't be overwhelmed with feeling like the hybrid just isn't for you. And that's okay. If it's not for you, I totally understand that. I get it. So hopefully there's enough other stuff in here that that will be working for you. And those of you who are interested in hybrid, I hope to give you more tips and tricks along the way about how you can incorporate digital products into your physical scrapbooking. Because I scrapbook, I love to touch things, but I love the convenience of digital. Going hybrid makes a lot of sense for me. So here is the final looks at these pictures and some close-ups of how all of these elements kind of come together, and there is a look at that stenciling, and you can see the different tones I got there. So I do hope you appreciate this layout and this new series. If you got something helpful, please do go ahead and give it a like, because that does help my channel. I will hopefully get that tutorial posted on how to convert digital graphic elements into print and cut files so that you have that as a resource as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.